Hello everyone, welcome back on our YouTube channel Vans Vlog. As you already know that we have started a video series for the preparation of theory of German driving license with the official permission and support of Fahrschul card. In the last video we have covered 30 more questions till question number 90 from topic number 8. Today it is the last video of topic number 8. We will cover question number 91 to 122. That means 32 more questions and then we are done with topic number 8. Before starting the video, if you are new on our channel, don't forget to subscribe our channel, like our videos and share with your friends as well. So let's start question number 91, or the question number first for this video, but in total question number 91 from topic number 8. What might taking the right turn be dangerous here? Like if you are here, you see, so you are indicating right and you want to take the right turn for sure. As you see, there is no traffic signal, no traffic sign at all. So which rule will apply? The rule right before left. So but you see there is ice overall, like it was snowfall, so there is ice on the roadway, snow on the roadway, so your car could skid. And maybe whenever you are taking the right turn or whenever you are taking a turn, you should be very sure about 2 to 3 things, like about your right or priority. Number 2, like if you are taking the turn into a new road, you should be very careful about the pedestrians, like Fußgänger or the cyclists, like the people who are traveling on the bicycles. You need to be very careful about them because they have their priority. So what could be dangerous actually here? What could be the dangerous in this particular question? Because I might possibly not be able to stop in time if pedestrians are crossing the side street. Yes, for example, if you are taking a right turn, you see there is snow, maybe your car can skid, or you will need some more time to brake, or your braking time will definitely, your stopping distance will be greater. So maybe you will not be able to stop in time if pedestrians are crossing this road. Like for example, if you are taking left turn, but in this case we are taking right turn as indicator is showing, so maybe you will not be able to stop in time. So you should minimize your speed and very careful about the pedestrian, because vehicles emerging from the side street could start to skid. Even it is possible because there is snow overall, vehicles coming from right or vehicle coming from left could skid and could hit you. So you should be very careful about the vehicles coming from right or left, or even on the oncoming traffic as well, because my vehicle might start to skid if I take the turn too fast. Like if you take the turn very fast, there is snow on the roadway, so your vehicle can skid. So all three options are correct and you should be very careful about all of them. Let's go to the next question. You are driving on this road which is not inside a build-up area. So you see, like you are not inside build-up area and there is snow overall. Even if you see on the footpaths, like the specific areas for the pedestrians actually, like they are also covered with snow. And maybe like there are some parked car as well. If you see, if you can see, here is a parking sign, so vehicles are parked. So like very common, maybe some passengers would come out or and like crossing the road or whatsoever. So like let's go to the question. You are driving on this roadway which is not inside build-up areas. What should you prepare yourself for? Pedestrian walking only off the road? No, because as I told you, there is a snow, overall snow on the footpath as well. So maybe pedestrians will be like walking on the roadway. Like you should not expect that they will be only walking only off the road, like they are not walking on the road. But if you see, there is the only option for the pedestrians or the passengers or whatsoever, only this roadway to use, because the other all the area is full with snow. So you could not expect that pedestrian would only use their dedicated areas and they will walk off the road. No, this option is not correct. Pedestrian using the road, because like as I told you, I am telling you again and again, the footpath is covered with snow, so pedestrian can actually use the road for their convenience. So you should be very careful. Pedestrian using the road is narrow as well. If you see, this road is very narrow. If you take a turn, if you see the stretch of the road, it is very narrow. So both options are correct, but the first option, you should be always be very careful. You should always take the responsibility by your own, and just try to be very sure. Like, you should think that the other people on the roadway can make mistakes, so you should think about it. Like, you should be like anyhow should be proactive in that particular case. So first option anyhow was wrong. Let's go to the next question. Why is it necessary to maintain a large safety distance to the vehicle ahead? So if you see the vehicle ahead, it's already, I think, raining, so the water is splashed actually. Maybe like if this car is going too fast in front of you, the some water drops even can come on your windscreen, splashes, and like your visibility could be reduced. Then as it is raining, when it rains, you know, like your car can skid, your braking distance is greater as compared to the normal conditions. Many things to consider. So why is it necessary to maintain a large safety distance to the vehicle ahead? Because the braking distance is longer than on a dry road. For sure, whenever it is raining or snowing, your braking distance, you take some more time or distance to brake, because spray water could otherwise impede visibility. That is for sure. This water can like come on your windscreen and can actually impede your visibility, because uneven areas of the road will otherwise be detected later. Like, maybe there are some uneven areas on the roadway which are under the water. So maybe if you are not maintaining a large distance, safety distance, then maybe these uneven areas, like for example this car, let's say, like as this red vein is like red vein, for example, has crossed the this particular patch, and if you have maintained a good safer distance, then you can see that this patch is filled with water. But if you are like driving very close to the red vein, that you like, then you cannot see the uneven patches or the problem in the roadway earlier. So because uneven areas of the road will otherwise be detected later if you are not maintaining a large safer distance. So all of the things are very important in this particular situation when it's raining or like it's snow. Let's move to the next question. Why must you be particularly careful here? If you see, here is a road, so like there's a traffic coming from left, and maybe could come from right as well. As you see, there is no traffic sign, so what rule applies? Right before left. So I have the priority above red car for sure, because I am on the right hand side. So currently I have the highest priority, but maybe a car could emerge from here, then this car is on your right hand side. So as per the rule, right before left, this car will have the priority. And then even I think there is a snow or whatsoever, there are some wet leaves on the roadway, the road is skiddy. So let's see, what must you be particularly careful here? Because there is an increased danger of skidding when braking. This option is for sure correct, because if you see a lot of wet leaves on the roadway and your braking distance is greater, and you could skid even on the roadway. Because the car coming from the left has priority. No, this answer is wrong. As per rule, right before left, you have the priority. The car coming from left has the least priority as compared to you, because a vehicle could come from the right. Like, this is also a danger. For example, a vehicle could come from the right, and then this car has more priority as compared to you. So you should be very careful about rule right before left here as well, as I told you. Let's move to the next question. Ahead of the motorbike, a car is seeking to reverse on the road. What should you anticipate? So you see, the car is is reversing on the roadway. What could be your natural instinct? The car would reverse, the motorcyclist will brake, and as there is snow overall on the roadway, your braking distance is greater in this condition as compared to the normal dry condition. So you should decrease your speed. Like, just we have assumed here. Let's see the options. That my braking distance will be longer than normal. This answer is correct. Whenever snow or rain, braking distance is greater than normal. That the car continues to reverse. Like, you should also anticipate maybe this car is reversing and will reverse more. So you should also consider this, that the motorcyclist will suddenly brake. Like, motorcyclist will brake to avoid the collision with this red car, and in result of that, you should also brake in good time. So if you are driving with already with a low speed, then you will be able to brake in time. So all three options are correct, and all of them you should consider or anticipate. Let's move to the next question. What can cause in aquaplaning, sliding on wet roads? Like, aquaplaning mean like when you slide on the roadway, it's aquaplaning. Like, sliding on the roadway, skidding on the roadway is aquaplaning. Very simple. They have also mentioned in the bracket as well, and we have also discussed it in the previous video. So what can cause in aquaplaning on wet road surfaces. Like the road is wet, and so how your car can skid actually on the wet road surfaces? What could be the reasons actually? If you are driving with high speed on the wet road, your car could skid. Aquaplaning mean sliding on the wet roads. Like the road is already wet, and you can skid or slide on it. Worn tires, if the quality of your tires is not good, they are already worn, or you can say like they have already like being used a lot of time, and the condition of the tire is not good, wear and tears are there, then in that condition aquaplaning can occur as well. Grooves in the roadway, the roads are uneven, some patches, some up and down in the roadways, it will also create aquaplaning. Like your car can skid when there are groove in the roadway on the wet road surfaces particularly. All three options are correct. What must you do if your vehicle is caught by a strong side wind? So whenever you have a strong side wind, what you should do, I think, like I will try to explain you here. Maybe this will help you. For example, I am not that good with drawing, unfortunately. So for example, if you are driving on the roadway, let's say it is your car, and then there is a strong wind coming from this side, so what should be your response? So this wind is trying to push your car, like this is your lane and this is another lane, will try to push your car towards the second lane. So what you need to do, you should counter steer it. Like you should steer your car. If the wind is coming from right to left, you should do the counter steering, this time steer against the wind. Like you should try to compensate it, try to steer. If the wind is coming from right to left, you should steer your steering wheel from left to right to anyhow reduce the effect, the main thing. And I think now you understand the term counter steering, so I will also explain it in upcoming questions. And so this was the first thing. So what should you do if the vehicle is caught by strong side wind? Accelerate rapidly? No. Whenever the strong side wind is there and you increase the speed, the pressure of the wind will be 4 times of your speed. So whenever there is strong side wind, just reduce your speed and steer, counter steering, steer against the wind, but never accelerate. Otherwise the pressure will be increased and your car can skid away from the lane, can leave the lane as well, so could hit the car coming from your back in the second lane. So never accelerate, but reduce your speed and steer against the wind, also known as counter steering. So when can a strong side wind be particularly dangerous? Like when there is strong side wind coming, so when it could be dangerous, when overtaking the trucks. I will explain this in a minute in upcoming question. So whenever like there is a, like, just remember, but I will try to explain it here as well. So it will take some time, but I hope you will understand it. So let's say here is a lane in which it is a truck, then lane number 1. In second lane you are traveling, your car, you, sorry for the bad handwriting. Okay, so strong wind is coming from the right hand side. So you were here actually initially, and as the wind was trying to push your car towards the left or pushing it away from your lane, so you were counter steering actually. Yeah, like you were steering it to counter, you were steering to counter the wind. But as soon as you entered this, you are overtaking this truck, now the wind, like your car is smaller than truck for sure, now the whole pressure of the wind is on the truck and you are not facing any pressure. If you still continue to counter steer like as you were doing previously, now your car actually could hit the truck. As soon as you enter the it's called lip stream, or as soon as you enter like the region of the truck, you should not counter steer, because this whole wind now is on the truck side, as truck is higher than your car. So the whole pressure now will be faced by the truck and your car will not face any air pressure. You don't need any counter steer. But if you continue to counter steer, then your car could hit the truck. Similarly, you have overtaken the truck and now you are leaving. Again, for example, when you were overtaking a truck, you were not counter steering. But now again, as you left the lip stream of truck, again wind is there. And if you do not again start to counter steer, your car could leave your lane, could skid away. Now you again need to do the counter steering. So it is very important when you are overtaking some trucks to adjust your counter steering. When you are starting to overtake the truck, just do not counter steer. But after that or before that, you must need to counter steer to tackle that air pressure. So I hope you understand it. Now, what can a strong side wind be particularly dangerous? When overtaking trucks, as I told you, when driving across bridges, like across bridges, even you have sometime higher air pressure because you are on the height, let's say. So you will have a more air pressure. When driving past fire breaks in the forest, like if there are some fire breaks in the uh, forest, so the strong wind, even in the foresty areas or the open areas, there is a more air pressure. So when driving past fire breaks, whenever there are fire breaks, the air pressure will be more. So in that case as well, it is very dangerous as far as side wind is concerned. So let's go to the next question. Now here I think you will understand again what I explained you earlier. What must you reckon with here? Like if you see, I will again try to explain it with my marker. Okay, so if you see here, look, let's see, this indicator is currently showing that wind speed or wind is coming from right to left, like towards you. So now let's suppose you are currently here and the wind, as I told you, is coming from here to towards your car and will try to push your car away from your lane towards the left lane or to skid. So you are doing counter steering from left to right to adjust the speed, to adjust this, to counter this side wind. Now as soon as you enter the truck stream, like this area from here to here, the whole side wind now is on the truck. You are not facing any side wind. So that means you do not need to counter steer here. But as soon as you leave again the truck lip stream, you again need to counter steer. This I explained you already. So let's see what must you reckon here with your vehicle could be blown to the left by the strong side wind. If you see here, yeah, the as you see this particular, like this, I think you already know this is this particular, like you can say flag or whatever you want to say it. Actually it is deployed to think or to confirm about the direction of the wind and how fast it is. So as I told you, the wind is coming from right to left, so it will try to push your car to the left side, like your vehicle could be blown to the left by as I told you, the wind is coming from here, so it will try to push your vehicle could be blown to the left by the strong side wind, but not to the right. Actually it's coming from right to left, it is not coming from left to right. As I told you, I will try to explain it here again. Unfortunately I have to remove those signs. So the wind actually is from here to here, right to left, so it will push your car in this direction. It is not coming from left to right, that your car could skid, could blown away to the right hand side. No, it actually could blown away to the left, not to the right. This option is not correct. When overtaking, your vehicle is pulling to the right when you enter the slipstream of the truck. So whenever you are enter the slipstream of a truck and you continue to counter steer, now as you enter the slipstream of a truck, there is no wind on your car, so you do not need to counter steer. But if you continue to do the steering to adjust the wind to face the wind, then your car actually pull to the right to the truck. So whenever enter the slipstream of a truck, do not do counter steering, but before that and after that do it, as I told you already. So these two options are correct. Let's go to the next question. A strong side wind is blowing from right. So they are telling us here that strong side wind is coming from right. So when are you particularly exposed to danger when overtaking? So when you are overtaking this truck, when could be dangerous? When you enter the slipstream of the truck or when you leave, as I told you already in previous question. So when you change your lane after overtaking, no, you have already overtaken. Now you know, like now as you have already overtaken the truck, you are already counter steering. You have left the slipstream of the truck few minutes back or few seconds back. Now you are already doing counter steering, so it's not a problem for you. Like it would not be a dangerous situation for you. But whenever you enter the slipstream of the truck or whenever you leave, then you have to be very careful. Before entering, you need counter steering. As you enter the slipstream of the truck, you do not need to counter steer because the wind is already on the truck, not on you. But when you leave the slipstream of the truck, then you again need to counter steer. And when you have successfully overtaken, then it's not a problem for you, the danger of skidding or whatsoever while overtaking. But before entering the slipstream, or when you enter the slipstream, or when you, for example, just entering, or when you are leaving, then only you need to be careful that you have to continue the counter steering or not, as I explained you. But after overtaking, it's not a problem. Now you know the wind, your car is facing the wind, you are facing the music, and you can adjust yourself with that. So why must you reduce your speed in heavy rain? So why? Like many reasons. Because aquaplaning, sliding on the wet roads can occur. It's raining heavy, then you're sliding. Like whenever the road is wet and you skid, it is called aquaplaning. So when there is heavy rain, actually you could skid on the road, which is called aquaplaning. Because braking distance is increased whenever it rain. You already know, we have discussed, the braking distance will be larger as compared to the normal dry conditions because visibility is reduced. This you already know in case of rain. Let's go to the next question. What adversely affect road safety here? If you see, your visibility is really reduced because of the rain. So what adversely affect road safety here? The dipped headlight of oncoming traffic. No, if oncoming traffic has dipped headlights, actually it will help you. Like you can estimate, you can see the oncoming traffic, it will help you anyhow. So the dipped headlights are very important, or they like, it is a must whenever you have like you are driving inside a tunnel, or you are driving in fog or whatsoever. So dipped headlight actually help you. Okay, so reduce grip of the tires on the wet roadway. Yeah, this is the adverse effect. Like you are driving like during a rain, and then your grip will be definitely reduced. And similarly, poor visibility is also, like you can see the visibility is very reduced, maybe till you can say 80 to 90 meter. So this is another correct option. So if you see, our answer is correct. So let's move to the next question. Our next question is, what can be caused if the road surface suddenly becomes worse? So like if the road surface is suddenly becomes worse, maybe due to any reason, there is raining, it's raining, or snow, or bad patches, or the uneven surface, what could be the cause? Long reaction distance. Yeah, if it was braking distance, this answer was correct. But as I told you already, like we have discussed this topic a lot, reaction distance means like if you see a car coming and how quickly you react. Normally we call it at 1 second reaction or 2 second. How quickly you react to brake, like how quickly your foot actually are going to the towards the brake. It's a reaction distance. Either the weather condition is good or the road condition is good or bad, it will remain the same because it depends on you. If you are exhausted, your reaction distance could be greater. If you are fresh, your reaction distance will be lesser. But it doesn't depend on the road condition or the road surface. So longer reaction distance, if it was longer braking distance, this option could be right. But in this case, the road surface is the road is worse. So what can be the cause? What could be the problem? Actually, you can say in other words, if the road surface is worse, the reaction distance is not a correct answer. Changes in tire noise. If the road surface is not that good, has already become worse, then you will feel that because the road is uneven or whatsoever, there will be some changes in the tire noise. Danger of sliding and skidding for sure. If the road condition is not good, you could even slide or skid on the roadway. Both these options are correct. Let's go to the next question. What are the special conditions when driving along tree lined avenues? Like there are if you are driving through a tree lined avenues, I will try to, like this, for example, you are in the forest, or like let's see here, or simply inside the outside build up areas, let's say, or anywhere tree lined avenues, you are driving in tree line through tree lined avenues. So what are the special conditions? The narrow and often cambered roadway require special caution when there is oncoming traffic. Yes, so because of trees, maybe the road is already narrow, and if the road is narrow and often cambered roadways, like there are some up and downs, you need to be very like cautious, or you need to be very careful about the oncoming traffic because the road is already narrow. So maybe you need to brake sometime or slow down your speed. Many possibilities could be there. Bends are often very narrow and blind. The roads, like with tree lined avenues, you will see suddenly there is a bend or sharp bend or a blind bend. You can expect actually those bends, sharp bends or narrow bends. Uh, Whenever you are driving through tree lined avenues, the tree provide protection from the sides, no, we have already seen in few questions back in the last video, I guess. The tree will never provide you protection from the side wind, or let's say snow or rain. It's not a correct option. The first two options are anyhow correct. So let's move to the next question, which is a video question. So you are driving on a roadway inside with heavy snow, and then like you see in the back mirror there is a car coming from your back. Then yeah, there is a truck coming from the opposite direction, and then there is a green car coming from right hand side, and here you have priority. So if you want to go straight ahead, you want to take right turn, left turn on this particular junction, or actually it's not a Einzel Vorfahrt, it's like Vorfahrt at like till it is not finished. So actually you have priority on this main road. So a car is coming from right, a red tractor is already taking left turn, this sky blue or blue car is behind you. Let's watch the video again. In exam, try to watch video at least 4 times. Like one time you could see traffic on the right hand side, one time left hand side, one time maybe in the back mirror. So if you see a green car is coming from the right, there is a tractor, and only 3 main vehicles we need to consider. So anyhow in exam you should watch the video 4 times. So they are asking why should you brake now? Because of the tractor, blue car or green car. If you see, the tractor has already taken the left turn, you have no danger from the tractor. Similarly, the blue car is already far behind you, you have no problem with the blue car. Yes, it's possible that this green car, maybe there are two possibilities. As you have priority, this green car would definitely, if you can see here, it's a Vorfahrt give way, stop and give way. But maybe the green car could overlook this sign, and maybe there is heavy snow and you are not able to brake in time, and green car is also not able to brake in time. You could actually clash, maybe you can hit each other. So you should be very careful, because just after I think around 30 to 40 meter, there is a green car coming from right. Yeah, maybe you have priority and green car has to stop. Maybe the driver is trying to stop, but because of this snowy conditions, his or her braking distance is longer, or you can say the stopping distance is longer. So you need to be very careful. Only you should brake now because of the green car, because maybe the green car either has overlooked the traffic sign, or maybe because of the snow, like either the green car has already braked, but maybe could even come onto the roadway and hit you. So you only need to be brake now because of the green car. The rest, tractor and blue car, is not a problem at all, as we've already discussed. So where does aquaplaning, sliding on the wet roadway, you know this, occur particularly often? Like where normally, like you can so many times you can see the aquaplaning in which areas where there are grooves in the roadway, like some ups and downs in the roadway, or like some uneven patches on the roadway, like for example like this, or the road is totally uneven. We could take any example where the road is not that good, let's say this one, or even like yeah, but you can understand it, I hope, like where the road is uneven. So at the level crossing, normally like the level crossings are the very like developed roads. Normally there you will not see the aquaplaning. You will see wherever the road is uneven, and when it is raining, then the road becomes even very dangerous for the aquaplaning, and when there are dips in the roadway. But the level crossing are normally those roadways on the level crossing which are like well developed and very clean. So normally you could never expect the aquaplaning, expect some exceptions or some like emergency conditions that or some issues that you would observe the aquaplaning on the level crossing. But normally where there are already some grooves on the roadway or dips in the roadway, there you can expect for sure the aquaplaning, not on the level crossing in normal conditions. What must you reckon with when it starts raining after a long period of dry weather? So whenever it's starting to rain after a long period of dry weather, your braking distance will not be short. We already know when it's raining, the braking distance increases, it's not decreases or shorter. A dangerous greasy film on the surface of the road, like whenever it rains or after a very long time, then there is a combination of the like you can say dirt and the water, and you will see some greasy film on the roadway. Even you can skid when you go over this greasy film, maybe of different combination, different color sometime, or some you can say some patch which is skiddy. So a greasy film, actually a dangerous greasy film, can form on the roadway when it starts raining after a long time. Bad visibility for sure immediately upon switching the wind screen wipers. Like maybe you haven't like used the windscreen wiper for a long time, like there was a sunny time, maybe 1 or 2 weeks or even 1 month. As it starts raining after dry weather, like whenever you start your wiper, immediately they will not give you the clear vision or view. But first of all, like they will clean the dirt on the windscreen, and then they will start giving you the clean view, or the like the very good view. So bad visibility immediately upon switching the windscreen you can also expect, because maybe there is some dirt is sticked on the windscreen, or some sand you can say. So initially there will be bad visibility as soon as you switch on the wipers, but after that it will be fine. It starts raining. Why must you immediately increase the safe distance? Whenever it starts raining, we know that the braking distance is increased, stopping distance increase. So that's why you need to increase the safe distance or the safety distance. So because a greasy film may form which increase the braking distance. Yes, as we have seen in the last question, when it rains, then maybe there is some greasy film on the roadway, and that's why your braking distance can be already like can be increased in the rainy season, because the brakes react more quickly now. As we know, when it rains, then your brake will not react as quickly as in the dry conditions, because visibility may become worse, and the windscreen wipers do not immediately provide a clear field of vision. This we have already discussed in the last question. It starts raining, then in the first two attempts, maybe first two or three attempts, the windscreen wiper will clean your screen, and then you can only see a clear field of vision. So that's why you should increase the safety distance, because your vision will not be that clear in start. Let's go to the next question. You are driving in a dense fog on a Federalstrasse, Bundesstrasse outside a build-up area. So you are driving outside build-up areas. The fog is very dense. Speed could be 100 km per hour, could be 70, could be 50, could be 60, 80, whatsoever. Are you allowed to drive in the middle of the road continuously, straddling the broken white line? No. Like this, there is a dense fog. Maybe you need to overtake the slow-moving vehicle in front of you for a very short time. You overtake it and come back whenever there is a broken white line. We already know the Durchgezogene Linie, or the you can say the solid white line. Durchgezogene Linie we call it sometime. I don't know why it is not loading, but anyhow, I hope now. No, but leave it. So like a dotted line, which is called broken white line. You already know this, but I will for you. I will make it here like. It is a Durchgezogene Linie. Like you cannot cross this line in any case. And this one is a dotted or broken line. This you can cross to overtake the slow moving vehicle in your lane, and then you can come back. So they are asking you that is it allowed with a dense fog on a Bundesstrasse to continuously straddling the broken, like you are in between the two lanes, you are continuously driving on the straddling broken. You can, but only for a very short time, just to overtake. And here you see dense fog, very dangerous, because maybe you could not notice the oncoming traffic in time. You were on the straggling line, or you were in the other lane, on the lane of oncoming traffic, and you can hit the car, and there could be an emergency or an accident. So you are not allowed in any case. No, because it could present a danger to oncoming traffic. Yes, because it reduces the risk of running off of the road. No. Yes, if fog headlamps and rear fog lamps are switched on. No, in never case. It's a dense fog, and you are not allowed to continuously drive on a straddling broken line. Maybe if you want to overtake, and only when you are totally sure you are not endangering yourself and the other participants in the road, then only. Otherwise no. But in this case, continuously is never allowed. Even when it is not a dense fog, then maybe you are not continuously allowed to drive on this straddling broken line, so or straddling on the broken white line. Only one option is correct. Let's go to the next question. What must you do on encountering sudden dense fog driving at daytime? So you see sudden dense fog at daytime. what should you do? You should switch on your dipped headlights. Like whenever you are driving through a tunnel or in the rainy condition with the low visibility or in the dense fog, you should switch on your dipped headlights so you can, so the oncoming traffic or the other traffic participants can see that the car is coming. Adopt speed immediately to visible condition. Like if the visibility is not good, for sure you need to speed down, slow down your speed. So you need to be careful about these two things. Let's move to the next question. You want to overtake on a narrow avenue, not within a built-up area. A road is narrow and it's outside built-up area. What must you be aware of in particular? Even cyclists frequently cannot be overtaken when there is oncoming traffic due to narrow width of the roadway. Whenever you want to overtake a cyclist, the distance, the clearance distance or the distance from cyclist and you should be 1.5 meter. We have already discussed this. If you are not sure the road is narrow that you can overtake the cyclist, never do it. Even cyclists frequently cannot be overtaken. Misjudgment of the distance and oncoming traffic frequently result in serious accident. Like the road is narrow and the misjudgment of your distance and of the distance and oncoming traffic could cause serious accident. So narrow roads are very tricky. Vehicles with the high superstructures frequently move to avoid branches. Like the road is already narrow and you see a big truck is coming, and you see sometimes we have tree lined avenues and they will try to avoid the tree branches, the truck, and would block the whole road because of their superstructures, and this will even narrow down the road and you will in a big problem. The road is blocked now. So that's why you need to be very careful about the vehicles with high superstructures as well. All three options are correct in this video, sorry, in this question. So the question is loading. I think there is an internet problem. Let me connect my internet again. Sorry guys. I have to check my internet. Keine Netzverbindung. Now Netzverbindung verfügbar. I hope when I load the question it will be loaded. Yes, it's loaded. So what do you have to be aware of in this situation? If you see there is a tree lined avenue, and then you see there is some shadow, then again brightness, then darkness, brightness. So visibility is like the road situation, lighting is continuously changing. It could be very tricky for you to judge the oncoming traffic and the speed. So what do you have to be aware of in this situation? The constant changing of light and shadows makes it more difficult to detect other road user in good time. Yes, because the light is constantly changing. Maybe sometime you can overlook the oncoming traffic because your visibility is continuously changing. The judging distance is made more difficult because of the constant changing of light and shadows. Like you cannot predict how far is the car. Maybe you can, but it's like a universal truth that when the light is continuously changing, you need to adjust quickly, very quickly, and in that condition you can misjudge the speed and the distance of oncoming traffic. The speed should be adjusted due to visibility. Like you need to slow down your speed because the visibility here is not that good. The road is not continuously bright, but the brightness is continuously changing, so you need to adjust the speed. What could could cause a fast traveling motor vehicle suddenly to veer sideways on a dry straight road? So fast vehicle, the road is dry and straight, so what could cause actually the vehicle to like skid away, to veer sideways? So what could be a burst tire, for example, are suddenly hit by a gust of strong side wind. Like a tire is burst, then your car can skid away, or strong side wind can cause. But this sudden headwind is not an option, because headwind means the wind coming from the opposite, like coming from the front of you, like which is hitting your wind screen, coming just like coming from opposite side. It will never skid your car. The only wind which can skid your car, either coming from right to left, coming from right or coming from left, this only can skid your car. But the headwind coming from front or coming from back will either push your car or will like push back your car, but it will not skid, it will not be able to skid your car. So only first two options are correct. Let's move to the next question. What can be the effect of aquaplaning? So like if we know aquaplaning mean to slide on the wet roadway. So what can be the effect? What could be the effect of aquaplaning? Increase tire static friction? No, as we know, during aquaplaning the tire like the friction, it is wet roadway and you are skidding, there will be no friction, like friction is very lesser, that why you are skidding. So decrease static friction. Friction is mean like a good contact between the road and your tires. But in the case of aquaplaning or wet roadway skidding, you already know the friction is actually decrease, or we slide on the roadway, it's not increase. This option is not correct. Reduce vehicle braking capability, this we know. If you are already on the wet roadway and we are skidding, that our braking capability, we know like our brake will not be that effective as on the wet road, sorry, dry road. Reduce ability to steer the, similarly like now your car is skidding, so you will have a lesser control on the steering, so your ability to steer the vehicle is also anyhow reduced. Let's move to the next question. While driving, it suddenly begins to rain heavily. So you are driving, heavy rain comes, what should you do? I reduce the safety distance to the vehicle ahead? No, you have to increase the safety distance to the vehicle ahead. Whenever it's raining, you know that your safety distance you need to increase, because your braking distance, stopping distance increase. Like your brake will not be that effective as it was on a dry road, so you have to increase the safety distance, not reduce it. I avoid strong acceleration, I reduce my speed. These both options are correct whenever it starts to rain heavily. Let's move to the next question. You are driving along a narrow avenue. A narrow avenue is there. What must you be aware of? I have to anticipate unevenness at the edge of the road caused by the road avenue is already narrow because of the maybe tree lined avenues. So if when there are trees, you need to anticipate unevenness at the edge of the road caused by the tree roots. Like tree roots actually cause when there are a lot of trees on the like wet leaves maybe on the roadway, then or simply leaves, so there could be an unevenness at those edges. You need to be careful about that. Stop for oncoming traffic as the road is narrow. Sometime maybe there is a bigger car or a bigger truck, or with as we have discussed, with high superstructures coming from the opposite direction, maybe you need to wait for them to give them way. This option is also correct. Be able to stop within the half, this we already discussed. Whenever you are on narrow roadway, you should be able to stop within the half of the distance visible to you. In the normal condition, normal roadway, you should be able to stop within the visible distance, but when narrow roadway, then within half of the distance visible to you. All three options are correct. Let's move to the next question. What do hazard warning lights draw your attention to? As we know that whenever we switch on the hazard warning light, when for example when there is a traffic congestion or traffic jam, when there is an accident, and some other things like this. So what do hazard warning light draw your attention to? Traffic congestion, if there is traffic jam. To vehicles which have broken down, they also switch on the hazard light. The school buses with children boarding or alighting, some like school buses also switch on their hazard light to inform you that their passenger are moving out of the bus or coming into the bus, or even as in some cases children of the school. So in all three conditions we can see the hazard warning light switched on by the relevant traffic motor vehicles. For which purpose is the horn allowed to be used outside build-up areas? Just like I will explain you here. Outside build-up areas, you can flash your light, you can sign your horn to overtake. But inside build-up areas, you are only and only allowed to horn only and only when there is a danger. You want to inform the other car about the danger. Only and only then inside build-up areas. But outside build-up areas, you can also use it as a warning signal, for example, or as an overtaking signal as well. So horn allowed to use outside build-up areas as a warning signal, as an overtaking signal. But calling signal is not correct, that you are calling somebody, hey buddy, I am here. No, it's not a correct option. You can use outside build-up areas as an overtaking signal, as a warning signal. But inside build-up areas, only and only as a warning signal, not an overtaking signal inside build-up areas. Let's move to the next question. For which purpose is a horn allowed to be used inside build-up areas? As I told you, only and only warning signal inside build-up areas. So as an overtaking signal, no. Only outside build-up areas. As a calling signal, never. Neither outside build-up areas. You are driving in a tunnel and approach the end of a traffic jam. What do you do? So you were driving in a tunnel and you see now there is a traffic jam inside a tunnel. What do you do? Whenever you see a traffic jam, either it is inside a tunnel or anywhere, you have to switch on your hazard warning lights to inform the traffic behind you that there is a traffic jam. So at the end of traffic jam, switch off the engine and leave the vehicle. It's not a correct option. You see there's a traffic jam inside tunnel, you switch off your engine and leave the vehicle. No. Maybe we will see this in upcoming questions, I guess. Like whenever there is a fire inside a tunnel, then you need to inform the fire brigade, and then you can leave your vehicle. But in case of traffic jam, never make a U-turn and leave the tunnel. You are never allowed to take a U-turn inside a tunnel. Switch on the hazard warning lights whenever there is a traffic jam. Switch on the hazard warning lights. Simple as that. Let's go to the next question, or the second last question. Where is it permitted to flash headlight to indicate your intention to overtake? We know that it's outside build-up areas. In darkness in build-up areas, never. In darkness outside build-up areas, even in daylight outside build-up areas, you can flash your light. You can sound your horn outside build-up areas to overtake. But inside built-up areas, you are never allowed to horn. Instead, it is a warning signal to somebody, like some dangerous situation. But otherwise, no. Outside built-up areas, yes, as I told you already. Let's go to the last question of this video. Finally, it's the last question. What can prevent you from hearing warning signals? Like somebody is giving you warning through a horn. So what can actually prevent you from hearing warning signal? The exhaust of your car is too loud, then you cannot listen. Having the radio on too loud, even if you are using the headphones. All three options are correct. In that situation, maybe you are not able to hear the warning signals. So friends, this was everything from topic number 8. Our 122 questions are covered. If you have any question, any doubt, any query, or even any feedback about the video or about the previous videos, don't feel shy. Don't forget to put it in the comment section. Our team will try to answer it as soon as possible. And don't forget to subscribe our channel, like our videos. If you want to support us on Patreon with as low as $1, you can also do it. We will put the link in the description. So until the next video, our team wish you a happy learning. Till then, have a nice day and bye.